The last spring. The final spring of college arrived faster than any of us were ready for. Berkeley was drenched in golden sunlight, white flowers blooming along every campus path. Students sprawled across the lawns reading, playing guitar, talking about internships, graduate school, and the future as if they all knew exactly where their lives were headed. I didn't. I only knew one thing. Sean was asleep in my bed at 3 in the afternoon with one arm draped around my waist, and I didn't want any future that didn't include him. "I know you're staring," Sean murmured without opening his eyes. "I'm not." "Come." "Okay, maybe a little." He laughed, low and a little rough, then pulled me closer. "Creepy. You're too good looking. That's your fault." "Fair." I laughed and rested my chin on his chest. We'd just survived the last week before graduation. Both of us were exhausted from deadlines, interviews, and a dozen other annoying adult things. But somehow, I'd never seen Sean this gentle before. Maybe because we both knew everything was about to change. "I got the offer in Seattle," Sean said quietly. My heart stuttered even though I already knew this was coming. The sports startup where Sean had interned last summer had officially invited him to join full-time after graduation. Good salary, good opportunity, good future, and nearly 14 hours from Berkeley by car. I stayed quiet a beat too long. Sean immediately opened his eyes. "Hey, don't do that." "Do what?" "That face. I'm pretending to be fine, but I'm actually about to have an emotional breakdown one. I don't have a face." "Come." He pinched my side gently. "I know every expression you make." I groaned helplessly and buried my face in his neck. "I hate that you know me this well. I've been your boyfriend for 4 years. 4 years. Still didn't feel real. 4 years since our first kiss in the dormitory hallway. 4 years since Sean first called me his boyfriend with that insufferable self-satisfied look on his face. And somehow, I loved him more with every passing day. "I have news too," I said quietly. Sean raised an eyebrow. "Good or bad?" "Maybe both." I handed him my phone to show him the email I'd received that morning. A production studio in Los Angeles wanted to sign me for a new documentary series. Sean read the whole thing, then let out a low whistle. "Holy shit. Yeah. Cam, this is huge." "I know. So why do you look like you're about to cry?" I was quiet for a few seconds, then finally said out loud the thing that had been terrifying me for 2 weeks. "Seattle and LA are an entire state apart." The room went still. Sean set the phone down and looked at me for a long moment. "Come here," he said softly. "I am here. Closer." I shifted up immediately, and Sean wrapped his arms around me so tightly my chest ached. "I hate the thought of being far from you," I admitted. "Me too. We finally got here." I smiled sadly. "And now life wants to pull us apart again." Sean smoothed my hair back gently. "Come." Look at me." I lifted my eyes. The late afternoon light fell across Sean's blue eyes and made them impossibly soft. "We're not two kids being forced apart anymore," he said, slowly and deliberately. "This time we get to choose." My chest tightened. "I choose you." Sean squeezed my hand gently. "Wherever that is." I swear my heart went so soft it nearly dissolved. "How do you always know exactly what to say?" "Natural talent. So confident. You love it." Unfortunately, he wasn't wrong. Graduation fell on a day almost too beautiful to be real. My mom flew in from Oregon. Sean's parents drove down from Seattle. Marcus and Ethan screamed so loud they nearly got thrown out by security when Sean walked across the stage. "That's my gay son. I'm not your son," Sean yelled back. I laughed until my stomach hurt. After the ceremony, the campus filled with people taking photos in the warm May light. And Sean looked absurdly handsome in his graduation gown thrown open at the front, a deep blue tie underneath. "I hate you," I said the moment he walked over. "Even on graduation day? You're not allowed to be this attractive." Sean laughed out loud. "Cam just complimented me in front of both our parents." "Shut up." But he only laughed and pulled me close in the middle of the crowded courtyard. "Picture." Sean's mom called from somewhere in the crowd. "Oh no," I muttered. "Too late." She practically herded us under the big maple tree in the center of campus, camera already raised. "Closer," she said immediately. "Mom, closer." Sean grinned and pulled me against him until there was no space left between us. "Perfect," his mom said happily. "Now kiss. MOM." But both mothers were already laughing like they just watched the greatest sitcom of their lives. My face burned so hot I wanted to disappear from the planet entirely. And Sean? That menace actually leaned down and kissed me softly on the cheek right before the shutter clicked. The sound rang out, and somehow, in that exact moment, I had the feeling I would remember this day for the rest of my life. That evening, we threw a graduation party at Sean's apartment. Party was a generous word for it. Marcus brought beer. Lisa brought cake. Ethan brought a massive Bluetooth speaker that made the downstairs neighbors hate us immediately. And somehow, the small apartment I'd practically lived in for the past 2 years felt warm in a way that was almost strange. Music filled the living room. Yellow light reflected off beer cans and Polaroids stuck all over the fridge. Everyone was laughing and talking about the future like none of us could quite believe we'd actually graduated. I was standing in the kitchen cutting the cake when someone wrapped their arms around me from behind. I didn't have to turn around to know it was Sean. "Hi," he said quietly against my ear. My boyfriend just graduated." "I thought you graduated too?" "Yeah, but you're cuter." "I hate you." "No, you don't." That line had practically become part of our DNA. I laughed and leaned back against his shoulder. A moment later, Marcus walked by and immediately groaned. "Oh my God. What? You two are genuinely disgusting." "I'll kiss him right in front of you," Sean said, completely unbothered. "I will gouge my own eyes out." "We support that," Ethan called from the couch. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped the knife. That was what I loved most about this group. Nobody made what Sean and I had feel like something unusual. It was just a relationship. Just a couple. An introverted filmmaker in love with a golden retriever who played basketball. That was all. Around midnight, people started heading home. Marcus hugged Sean like he was leaving for war. "Seattle better not turn you into a corporate drone." "Shut up. If you wear a suit every day, I'm unfriending you." "I'd still be hot in a suit." "Unfortunately true," Ethan sighed. After the apartment door closed, the room went quiet all at once. Just the soft hum of the AC and the faint yellow glow from the kitchen. I was gathering paper cups when Sean stepped up behind me. "Leave it till tomorrow." "But..." "Come." His voice was so gentle I stopped immediately. Sean took the cup out of my hand and set it on the table. Then he just stood there, looking at me. "What?" I laughed softly. "I'm thinking. Dangerous." "A little." I raised an eyebrow. Sean stepped closer, close enough that our knees were nearly touching. "We really grew up." My chest gave a quiet ache. "Yeah. That's kind of terrifying. I thought you weren't afraid of anything." "I'm afraid of losing you." The words came so suddenly I went completely still. Sean rarely said things like that with that kind of seriousness. I reached up and touched his cheek gently. "Hey. I'm still right here." The blue of Sean's eyes softened completely. Then he kissed me. Not rushed. Not urgent. Just the slow, unhurried kind of kiss that comes at the end of a long day, carrying a familiarity that ached. I wrapped my arms around his neck, and he pulled me close like he wanted to keep me there forever. "Stay tonight," Sean murmured against my lips. "I practically live here already." "Still," I smiled. "Okay." That night we stayed on the sofa instead of going to the bedroom. The apartment window was cracked open, the California night air drifting and carrying the smell of grass and summer city. Sean lay behind me, chin resting on my shoulder, arms laced around my waist like a reflex he didn't even think about. "I don't want to sleep," he murmured. "Why?" "Because tomorrow you start packing to go to LA. My heart went completely soft. I turned to face him. In the dim light, he looked both handsome and a little ridiculous. Hair a mess, wearing the expression of a puppy about to be left behind. You know we'll still see each other. Yeah. Sean. I love you. He looked at me for a few seconds, like he still hadn't fully gotten used to hearing that. Then Sean smiled quietly. Say it again. I love you. Again. I laughed. Needy. Very. I pressed my forehead against his. I love you. I whispered one more time. And this time Sean kissed me like that was the only thing he wanted to carry into sleep. 2 weeks later, we both moved away. Seattle welcomed Sean with drizzle and a pale gray sky. Los Angeles welcomed me with punishing heat and traffic I could only curse at. LA sucks, Sean announced in our very first video call. I've only been here 3 days. Too long. I laughed and kept unpacking boxes in my new apartment. The studio had set me up with a small place near downtown. Enough room for one person, lots of glass windows, and absolutely brutal in the afternoon sun. It was fine, but it wasn't home. Show me the apartment again, Sean said. I already showed you. Again. I shook my head, smiling, and walked the phone around the living room one more time. Sean watched the screen intently, like he was trying to memorize every corner. What are you doing? Planning. Planning what? Where we'll put the TV. My heart immediately betrayed me by pounding erratically. Sean. We haven't even moved in together. Yet. I hated that a single word from him could make me go completely weak. Long distance turned out to be harder than I'd expected. Not because the love wasn't there, but because we'd gotten so used to having each other. Used to waking up next to each other. Used to sudden hugs in the kitchen. Used to hearing the other person in the next room. Now everything came through a phone screen. One night, I got back to the apartment at 2 in the morning after a 14-hour shoot. And Sean was still awake. Why aren't you asleep? I asked when I opened the video call. Waiting for you. My chest ached in that soft, familiar way. I look terrible. Still cute. I literally smell like sweat and coffee. Hot. You're disgusting. Sean laughed, then propped his chin in his hand and just looked at me. Come. Come here. How? Through the phone. Pretend. I laughed helplessly and moved closer to the screen. Sean immediately kissed the camera softly. My chest dissolved completely. God, I miss you, he said very quietly. I leaned my head back against the sofa and closed my eyes for a moment. Me too. For the first time since moving away, I truly began to understand what it meant to miss someone until it hurt. The first month in LA nearly killed me. Not because of the work. The work was actually wonderful. I got to shoot documentary footage in places I'd never imagined setting foot in. I sat in edit suites with people whose films I'd watched over and over at 17. I listened to them argue about camera angles and lighting at 2 in the morning like it was the most important thing in the world. And for me, it was. But every evening when I came home to the empty apartment, I still instinctively glanced toward the sofa as if Sean would be there with his gray hoodie and a pizza box. Then remembered he was in Seattle, nearly 2,000 kilometers away. I've started talking to the plant in my apartment, I complained during one video call. Sean was lying in bed, hair still damp from the shower. The plant? Yeah. Does it answer? Sometimes. Okay. He laughed. I'm booking a flight before you actually lose your mind. I froze. Wait. Sean blinked, perfectly innocent. Did you just say booking a flight? Oops. My heart lurched. Sean. Maybe I'm coming to LA this weekend. I nearly dropped the phone. What? I have a work conference in Anaheim. And my boyfriend lives in California. He shrugged. Seems convenient. I felt the entire terrible week I just had suddenly brighten. You're actually coming? Sean looked at me through the screen for a moment, then smiled, very softly. Come. His voice dropped. I miss you so much I'm losing it. Damn. Long distance had only made Sean more dangerous. 3 days later, I was standing at LAX with my heart pounding like an idiot. The terminal was packed with people. The sound of rolling suitcases everywhere.
Gate announcements echoing overhead.
But the moment Sean appeared at the far end of the terminal, backpack slung off one shoulder, wearing that familiar black hoodie. I couldn't hear anything else. He spotted me at almost the same instant, and the smile on his face made the entire airport blur away. "Get over here," he shouted. "Don't shout in an airport." But I was already running toward him. Sean practically lifted me off the ground when he pulled me into a hug in the middle of the crowded terminal. "Oh my God," he murmured into my neck. E. I missed you." "Me too." Then Sean pulled back slightly to look at me. For a long moment. "What?" I laughed, a little embarrassed. "Nothing." He touched my cheek gently. "I just forgot what it felt like to see you in real life." My chest clenched painfully. Long distance was a cruel thing, because you don't realize how much you've missed the small things until you get them back. The smell of Sean's hoodie, the warmth of his hands, the way he always unconsciously touched my back when we walked side by side. I had missed all of it. "Are you getting emotional?" I teased lightly. "Shut up." "Ah, I will kiss you right here." "Threat or promise?" Sean laughed and actually leaned down and kissed me in the middle of the airport. And this time I didn't care who was watching. My little LA apartment had never felt so warm. Sean sprawled across the sofa like he'd always belonged there. Hoodie tossed on the armchair. Sneakers kicked sideways by the door. His laughter filling every corner of the small room. Home. That feeling came rushing back immediately. "I hate that you make this apartment feel more like home than I do," I said from the kitchen. "That's because you have no taste. I'm a filmmaker." "Exactly." I threw the dish towel at his face. He laughed so hard he nearly fell off the sofa. In the evening we walked along Santa Monica. The California coast at night was colder than I expected. The wind carried a faint salt taste, and the lights from the pier reflected on the dark water below. Sean held my hand the entire way, never let go once. "I missed this," he said softly. "Walking. Being next to you." My chest went completely soft.
I glänst over at Sean.
The sea breeze was lifting his hair, and his blue eyes caught the distant lights in a way that was almost unreasonably beautiful. "I have something to tell you," I said. Sean immediately looked at me on guard. "Are you pregnant?" "I'm a man." "Details." "I'm being serious." Okay. He laughed and squeezed my hand. "What is it?" I took a slow breath. "The studio wants to extend my contract for another year." Sean went very still for a moment. My chest tightened immediately. "Oh, yeah. And you want to take it?" I was quiet for a few seconds, then nodded. "This is a big opportunity, Sean." "I know. I don't want to lose you." Sean's expression softened instantly. "Hey." He drew me close on the coastal path. "Look at me." I looked up. "I love you," Sean said slowly. "Not because it's convenient. Not because we live in the same city." His thumb moved gently over the back of my hand. "Because you're you." My throat tightened. "But a year is a long time." "Yeah. What if we change?" Sean looked at me for a moment, then smiled quietly.
Come.
We loved each other starting from a promise we made when we were 8 years old. He tilted his head. "I think we can survive California." I laughed even as my eyes started to sting. "You're so cheesy." "And yet, I love you." I exhaled helplessly. "Exactly." Then Sean pulled me close and kissed me beneath the sound of waves along the California coast at night. A kiss that tasted of salt and cold air. Gentle, unhurried, full of the longing both of us had been carrying quietly for months. When we pulled apart, Sean pressed his forehead to mine. "Take the job." "Sean, I mean it. I don't want you to have to wait." Sean's smile went soft.
Come.
He touched the silver chain I always wore around my neck. "I've been waiting for you since we were 8 years old." There was no saving my heart after that. I signed the extended contract the following week, and Sean celebrated more wildly than I did. "I knew it!" he yelled over FaceTime the moment I finished the paperwork. "Why are you more excited than the person who actually got the job?" "Because my boyfriend is talented." "I'm blocking you." "No, you won't." He was right. Slowly, we learned to live with the distance. Not that we missed each other less, but we learned how to love each other across time zones, deadlines, and midnight phone calls. Sean sent me photos of the Seattle sky every morning. I sent him LA sunsets every evening. Some days we were both too exhausted to talk, but we'd still start a video call and fall asleep with the screen still glowing, just to feel like the other person was still nearby. One night in October, I was editing footage in the studio when my phone buzzed. "Sean, open your door." I stared at the screen for a few seconds, then jumped to my feet. "No way," I murmured. I practically ran back to the apartment. And the moment I opened the door, Sean was standing there, gray hoodie, travel bag over his shoulder, that familiar smile that stopped my heart cold.
Bubby.
I crashed straight into him. "What the hell?" Sean laughed, pulling me tightly into him.
Surprise.
"You didn't say anything. That's how surprises work." "I hate you." "Nope." I still hadn't recovered. "How did you even get here?" "Airplane." Sean laughed. "Cam, are you okay?" I stopped. "You just called me baby." "Oops." My face went hot immediately. Sean clearly caught that because his grin only got worse. "Oh my God." He pulled me closer. "You like it. Be quiet."
Goo.
I was about to argue when Sean kissed me, and every single thought in my head disappeared at once. There was only the feeling of his lips on mine after nearly 2 months apart. Damn, I had missed this so much it hurt. The kiss deepened as I grabbed the front of his hoodie on instinct. He laughed softly against my mouth. "Missed me that much? I'm going to kill you." Violently romantic. That night we ordered Mexican takeout and lay across the sofa watching a movie, though neither of us was really paying attention, because roughly every 5 minutes Sean would turn and kiss me. "Can you behave?" I laughed.
No.
"Sean, I was away from my boyfriend for 2 months. Dramatic. Correct." I shook my head, smiling, and leaned into his shoulder. That moment was so peaceful it ached quietly in my chest. Outside the glass windows, LA was still blazing and loud as always. But inside this small apartment, everything felt like home again.
Cam.
My company wants to open a branch in San Diego. I blinked. "Wait, what?" Sean looked at me, visibly struggling to hold back a smile and failing completely. "They asked if I'd want to transfer next year." My heart lurched. "California?" "Yeah. Near LA. About 2 hours by car." I stared at him for a few seconds as my brain stopped working entirely. "Sean. I'm about to cry." I'm serious." Sean laughed and lifted me onto his lap. "Hey." His hand moved gently to the back of my neck. "Nothing's confirmed yet. But you want to go, right?" He held my gaze for a long moment, then nodded. "Yeah." "Because of work?" "Partly." "And the other part?" Sean's smile went completely soft. "Because of you." I swear this person was going to be the end of me. That winter, we finally didn't have to spend Christmas in different places. I flew up to Seattle the moment I wrapped the last project of the year. And Sean was literally waiting for me at the airport gate with the red knitted scarf I'd left behind back in college. "I thought I'd lost that." "I kept all your things." Creepy. Romantic. Debatable. But I still let him wrap the scarf around me in the middle of the busy airport, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Sean's childhood home was exactly as I remembered it. The smell of cinnamon and hot chocolate. The Christmas tree glowing in the living room. The old jazz music his mother always played during the holidays. And the oak tree in the backyard was still there.
Cam, Sean forever.
The letters were much fainter now, but they were still there. On Christmas Eve, snow fell lightly. I was standing on the back porch, hands cold in my coat pockets, when Sean came outside. "Knew you'd be out here. I like this spot." "Me too." He stood beside me for a few quiet seconds, then suddenly drew something from his coat pocket. A small navy blue box. My heart immediately went chaotic. "Sean, relax." He laughed, a little nervously. "It's not a proposal. You need to stop giving me heart attacks. Can't promise that. I took the box and opened it. Inside was a simple silver ring. Nothing flashy. Nothing extravagant. Just a small line of text engraved on the inside. Promise. I went completely still. Sean, I know we're still young, he said slowly, and we don't need to think about marriage yet. The blue of his eyes softened under the warm porch light. But I wanted you to know. His voice got quieter. I'm still serious about us. My eyes stung immediately. You don't have to say anything, Sean said a little faster. I just wanted. I cut him off by pulling him down into a kiss. A kiss that trembled slightly because I was trying not to cry. This ridiculous, wonderful person was genuinely going to make my heart explode someday. When we pulled apart, Sean looked at me with an expression somewhere close to stunned. What does that mean? I laughed through the tears. You idiot.
Come.
I still choose you. The cold Seattle wind moved through the snow-covered trees. And Sean looked at me with the same eyes as that 8-year-old boy beneath the summer sun in Oregon. Only now, we were old enough to understand what that promise really meant.